Welcome to The Mountain in Us, a podcast where the journey gets its voice. I am Taran Singh, your host. Here we greet the thrills, jolts, ascents, and descents of our uncharted adventures.
Welcome to The Mountain in Us, a show where journey gets its voice. Here we greet the thrills, jolts, ascents, descents of our uncharted adventures. Today we are conversing with Taran Singh. He is the author of Time and Knots, and yes, he is the host of the Mountain in Us podcast. Today's episode is a special episode because I, Diana Nguyen, get to interview Taran Singh about him so you can get to know him more. Your guest, your podcast host, your author, Taran Singh. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Diana. Thank you. That was such a lovely introduction and such a pleasure to have you come to my show and have me on the hot seat today.
I'm excited because, we've known each other for several years now, even before you wrote Time and Knots, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then before you started The Mountain in Us. And so this is exciting for me to be on your show interviewing you so the rest of the world can get to know the person behind the mic and the person behind the pen writing these beautiful poems.
Yeah. I mean, I think Time and also probably the first version was out, but you're right, as a embracing that entity or the identity of being a writer, poet, and and whatnot. I've come probably full circle, and part of it is knowing you has helped me a lot in taking some of those things that I would have never thought about in my life. Running a podcast and being here today is come through many hoops, but also through many blessings, and I count one of them you near and dear.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's been a blessing to be on this journey with you and just to see this your creative journey unfold, right? From your book, Time and Knots, and then this podcast. And of course, you know, one of my first questions, which I'm sure some people are wondering as well, with the Mountain in Us, what I mean, I want to get into that and your book and what's going to be the next season for you. But let's start with the Mountain in Us. What inspired you to start the Mountain in Us? And then even more so, I don't know if I've ever asked you this either, is the meaning behind the Mountain in Us.
Yeah. Um, you know, the mountain, the thing is, the name is, and I'll come to how the name came to me, but being born and raised in the Himalayan mountains, every time I look at world, I try to go back to my early life in the mountains and try to always connect to how I see the world in that aspect, right? So seeing that there is a mountain in all of us became a journey to me. Earlier, I was thinking, calling it the garden in us,
Yeah.
because I'm a gardener too. But and that could have also worked toward as I see it now, that the mountain is a place where we go through up and downs. There is obscurity of vision. There is the thrill of life. There is so much emotions that one can tie up to a mountain that is so relevant to our lives and the places we live in. Even though today I live on the sea level, I still can connect back to a mountain. And the mountain and the aspect of the journey are, even though you don't have to climb a mountain to know the mountain is sometimes we are the mountain for our own self, right? We don't want to, right? And sometimes, so I think from a very deep rooted sense, that being born and raised there and seeing what a mountain goes through in the churn of season,
Yeah.
that shaped me, that has shaped me, and I think the outcome of some of my work. So somehow the mountain in us just happened that way, right? Hey, what is the best name, and to have something and be able to connect back to any ordinary journey and extraordinary journey.
Yeah. And so with that, what what type of podcast guests do you usually look for to come on the Mountain and Us? And because what is it that you want your listeners to take away when they listen to the Mountain and Us?
Yeah, that was, the hardest part of the puzzle. Even the naming and everything is easy, right? But who do you bring
Yeah.
to have a conversation, and where do you find them, right? And how do you do some of the arm twisting, especially in the first season when you don't
Yeah.
have any power to sway, hey, come to my podcast, right? So people that I focused in the first season and the seasons beyond are people that have, in my opinion, to talk about their journey in a very authentic, truthful, and vulnerable manner, right? They're talking about what they are doing and what they have done in the pathways they are taking.
Yeah.
So that has been something that I put up front, that achievement and success and something that you have achieved can definitely be part of the journey,
Yeah.
but it cannot be the only thing we will talk. We want to know the intricacies of certain things that you might have done to become transformative, or something that, for example, I had somebody who talks about, facing facing fear, FOMO, right, as a mother, right? And I I have never been a mother, and I would never be a mother, but how do
Yeah.
I become, how to enable myself to be able to think about it and be able to bring that journey. So my other goal has been to make sure that I'm not going in places where I have already been, but I'm going
Yeah.
to places where I could never go as an author, uh, and try to bring that enrichment back to my own self also and
Yeah.
to the audience.
Yeah.
So that's my goal, is to being an explorer, and try to find people from their ordinary lives and put their extraordinary journeys available for everybody to listen.
I love that. That is very beautiful. It's helping others that are listening go on the journey with that person and how you put it, to be an explorer, right? You don't you want to go to paths and places that you've never been before, to also, I guess, in a sense, put yourself in that other person's shoes, right? Like this is the Mountain and Us gives you kind of that, where you have a sense of being in that person's shoes and their journeys and their challenges and their ups and downs and everything in between, right? And so that is really beautiful, and it just speaks to, you, Taran, and what you want to do in this world and the impact that you want to make on others through this. So, how are you finding people, or are you welcoming those that reach out to you with the story?
Yeah, yeah. I think there are two ways I'm finding. First of all, I think, people that I've known, that I know they would not say no to me because of who I am and who they are, right? So the
So funny.
first podcast season has been, finding people and to be requesting them, and many time, asking them again and again, hey, you have a story that you want to talk about, or you don't even want to talk about, but I want you to consider this. This would be an immense favor, not just to be me, but to the wide world. That and a lot of times, people, a lot of time my good friends, and that either they've recommended, or, for example, I had one of my colleagues come in, and she talked about things that she said, Taran, I would have not thought about till I came to this podcast. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, right? And I didn't even think it that way. And there were times when I talked to somebody that were expecting a child and say, hey, this was early episodes, and would you be interested? And the conversations were difficult for me too, because I didn't know what to ask, right? So
Yeah.
But more and more, I am taking the courage to ask people that I know and ask the people that I know to ask others that they know. That's one aspect. The second aspect is that I'm asking my guests that, hey, I'm going to bring you back here again from a different vantage point of your journey. So, be prepared in the upcoming season, that you will be called upon again to press another topic. Your life is multi-threaded, right? So I don't want you to just take a piece of you and just put that but I want to be able to get at least everybody who has come to my podcast be able to come back again. That is my goal as I spread out, as I do more episodes and
Yeah,
more seasons.
that's great. I love that. It's because seasons change, right? And everybody has different seasons and phases of life. And it's a beautiful thing that you allow that opportunity for people to come back to your podcast to kind of like, what season are they in now? Because audiences, I mean, to the example you just gave, right? If, one of your guests just had a baby, right? So, let's fast forward. That was the infant, newborn stage of motherhood. And now fast forward a few years, we're in the toddler stage or whatever it is. It's different seasons of life. So it's very fascinating to have those kind of comeback stories of, okay, where are you at now?
Yeah. Uh, though I have to acknowledge that I have to diversify a little bit here to get some men on the show. I've been unlucky that way. I've even approached few of them, but just getting on the calendar, timing and whatnot has not gelled out yet. But my
Yeah.
goal is at least get some other voices and get more representation
Yeah.
from different. And for my second season, I want to actually be trying to get to people like 60% of the people don't even. I want to make sure that I have no connection with them. They're coming through other
Right.
references of other references, and
Yeah.
right. So that way, but there is more uh, acknowledgement of what exists outside, but there is a diversification, or there is more mosaic in this
Yeah. Of
mountain.
course.
Right? We'll see more scenery, more seasons, more aspects, more views.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you accepting people in terms of
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, okay, so how can
yeah.
they contact you? Let's just plug that in really quick.
Yeah, I think that's just reach out to Ink of Sing at through my website Ink of Sing, or through social, or just email me. My email is on my website. Um,
Perfect.
uh, right, and the next season, or seasons ahead, that you not even people have the chance to talk about the journey, but I also want to put it out there. They have an opportunity to shape what seasons should I cover,
Oh,
what
see,
kind of journeys
I
I
love that.
should cover, right? So it is a joint. It's many ways. This is a collaboration across. I'm just the host. I'm just a medium to get these things out.
Yeah.
The vision can also come from you, and and that's I think is and that's something that you I'm going to put it out there is you've helped a lot of that in me early on, because I didn't know where to start in podcast, and I picked your brain and said, Taran, you will do good. And that was like one pat on the back, and I said, okay, if if that is good enough for me, and I'm not going to turn around and look back again
Yep.
and
Keep going.
keep going. And that's what journey is. You got to keep going.
You keep going. Here we are. So, speaking of next season, you started with Time and Knots, and then now you have The Mountain and Us. What is the next season for you? What does that look like in your journey?
Yeah, a lot of things coming next season, right? Right. So we have the first season of podcast is pretty much done. Now my second book is going to come out next year, and the second season is going to come out next year. So we're going to go full throttle on two new things, and maybe an event or two in the future. Uh,
A
but
tour.
the
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of things coming and I think it's about time. It took me a couple of years to get the second book ready, and now it's ready for prime time. and one of the one of the poems actually is going to be on a magazine coming out in next week. So I
Oh,
only got, yeah, so I got some blessing. I tried to get a few of them pieces out here and there to give people what is coming.
I mean, can you talk about the book? Like, what's the title? Can you talk about those details, or is that hush hush for now?
I can say what the title is. The title is, I've not, title is going to be Lotus Hue, Lotus as the flower and hue as the color. And it is going to be more, it is the challenge I gave when I wanted to write another book is that I have to write something that is not going to be like Time and Arts.
Yeah,
It is not going to be, it is something that I've already written, uh, or a version of it.
yeah.
So Lotus Hue is grounded in more in the now,
Ah,
uh, is grounded in what is happening around us,
yeah,
and what happens to us. And the lotus means that we are here in this journey of now to bloom, and hue is that we all bloom in our own colors. There is
yeah.
no one specific color required to bloom, or one specific journey or
Nice.
ways or means, or one so that is where this concept has came this concept has over the years come together, and that is going to be the next. It's going to be a poetry book, unfortunately, again, until not unfortunately, and then for hopefully years from now, my goal is to also work towards short stories and pieces, and I think that's where I've been putting some uh, energy into putting some longer pieces out on Substack lately. So
Oh, yeah. You have a Substack. So what's your Substack called?
it's called Ink of Sing again, and it's I
Okay.
think and it's I'm going to put the link is going to be on my website.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I've started putting some of those bigger blogs and things that I think are easier to digest than
Yeah.
poems
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
on those
Different
mediums.
channels. Yep.
Well, just it's also good for me to be more expressive. The poems sometimes can be great piece to put things out, but uh, bigger pieces help you express it in a more clearer form.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So when can people expect Lotus Hue to come out?
All all if all things work the way they are working, right now we're working on designing the cover. My designers are helping me make you know a what design the book is going to look like. So my goal is that it will bloom early spring.
Oh, I love how you said that. It'll bloom early spring.
It will bloom early spring, and that's the ideal timeline. And I've given up myself ample time to do it, but considering there are always some hiccups when you're doing these things. I have a great team. My designers and my book designer, cover designer, copy editors, all are already on uh, these projects,
Yeah.
and my one goal would be for Lotus Hue is that I'm going to get at least on the back cover folks that give an opportunity to at least few people to come and look at the book ahead of time and write a blurb about the book that I do not know. So I'm going to try to find one or two people that can represent that I have nothing to do with, right? So
Nice.
there are and ordinary people, right? So I want to make sure that the book becomes uh, as ordinary as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I Is it possible that you can um share a poem, or is there a favorite poem that you have identified so far?
Yeah, I mean, there, favorite poem. I, would say, one of my. I mean, I love the book anyhow a lot myself because it surprised me a lot. There are sections in the book that um I would say are definitely that I have more inkling towards one of the one of the poems that I really like is called Lotus Lungs.
Oh,
Uh, and just the name made me, the name of the title of the poem was very, um, in many ways, something that I feel that we our breath is also lotus. We inhale and exhale, just even though we don't think about it as a bloom, but every breath in and out is a bloom. So I want to maybe it's a shorter poem, but I'll try to put it out there for my audience.
yeah.
Lotus lungs. In my burial vault, murky depths and streams of grace, revive my free will. Inhaling until lungs collapse, petals bloom, diminishing die. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. So n now it makes me very curious, Taran, of how do you get your inspiration um to write these poems such as Lotus Lung? Like, can you walk us through this process of like all what are you sitting there and all of a sudden because one of the things that we connect on that we can relate to with each other is that we have a very linear side of us, right? That we do in our day jobs and whatnot. And then there's the creative side. How do you go from linear to nonlinear? How do you get inspired to do these amazing, just so in-depth, like wise, just beautiful poems. You know, you go from here to here, which is very it's just impressive. Like curious,
Yeah,
how do you do that?
yeah. Sometimes I'm surprised too how life unfolds. But the secret recipe is no secret. To be frank, I try to spend two things that I try to spend time with that pushes my curiosity up is one is of course my garden and outdoors, right? That space, the nature just helps me disconnect from the linear world that we inhabit and pushes me to subconsciously think about the wonders that exist beyond our own
Yeah.
perception, right? So some of these poems just happen that way. And the second thing is that is people, right? People in my life that I that I try to encourage myself to find pathways where I'm going to meet people in their spaces and their walks of life
Yeah.
that can help give me a peep into who I am. Uh, the funny thing is, we can our eyes see the world, but to see ourselves, sometimes we need somebody else's eyes, right?
Right.
Right. So that is another process that has helped me a lot. Is that my editors sometimes are my people that I take their view very seriously, and or sometimes I don't take it seriously, right? And sometimes, okay, let me go figure it out on my own, right? So and coupled with that, the time is also something that I utilize for my own creative process. I am not in a hurry sometimes to get to where I need to get to.
Yeah.
The bloom can happen on its own time, and that's where the surprise comes in. That I might have not thought about this title, like Lotus Lungs was not the first title for that poem, but over the years, or when it was baking, and one day I realized, oh, I should call it Lotus Lungs because that's what our breath is. This is it's just it's nothing more than a flower that is on bloom, and and we just don't see it that way, right? So a lot of these poems go through those, and beauty of the creative process is that sometimes the source is unknown, and you
Yeah.
have to acknowledge that,
Yeah.
right? Right, and that unknown in the universe exists in many forms, and once you get any blessing from that, I just take it and say, okay, I'm going to go run with it, and let's see what happens afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have, sometimes I do not know what the end is going to look like, but I write it and then come figure out what the end would look like.
Right. It's it's a reminder of creativity is about flowing, right? It's not about correcting or editing right away, right? Or filtering. It's just to let it flow and as it
Yeah,
is, right?
Yeah, and I think luckily I don't have, I'm not writing as an audience, like I have to go on Saturday Night Live and put a script out that's going to be funny or whatnot, right? So I have the luxury sometimes to be able to, surprise my own self, right? How can I create like simple things and make it full of life, or take the simple thing, like I have a poem on cockroaches in my next collection,
Do you?
right? And 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 one of the lines is give them honor, right? And I'm being trying to put myself in a perspective that I might not even think about, right? So
Yeah.
that I think you know is is something that creativity does it to your own self, right? It is a crucible. Once you give into that crucible, you also transform.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you ever come across, what they call just creative blocks or even doubts, with when it comes to writers, but I don't know about with poems, right? It might be different
Yeah.
of questioning, okay, is this good enough? Or is this poem ready? Like, do you ever come across those?
I think, early on in my life, yes, of course, we all, I did have like that syndrome of, is it good enough?
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I spent so much time and energy on time and not so that it looks and feels the best I could do. Uh, but as I've taken the journeys, right, I know if it is not good enough now, it will become good enough when it needs to become good enough.
Yeah.
uh, um, Blocks, of course, we all go through blocks of, some days or some period of time I might not even put a pen and paper to it, but I don't use that as a block period. I just say, hey, I'm absorbing things will come out when they need to come out, right? I
Okay.
don't force myself to write that much, to be
Yeah.
frank. Like, I'm not telling, hey, let me write XYZ today, YZ. If something comes to me, I will probably scribble it on a
Yeah.
sticky, put it out there, do it again. Uh, yeah, and having a day job and whatnot. Uh, Sometimes I carry a lot in my heart that I have to write, and then as soon as an opportunity comes of a downtime, I'm surprised how much I can fill on a page.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think that you made a good point too, because creativity can't be forced, right? Creativity is about flow, and that's the flow of energy, and that's where creativity comes from. So you can't force it. So you just have to
Yeah,
let it come to you, but that's the importance of being present, right? To allow
yeah.
that space for creativity.
And I think and this is, and me being just a writer and poet, one thing I've realized is that affirmation from other can actually be a damper to your creativity sometimes. So, more and more early, especially when you're trying to publish things and whatnot, there is a sense of frustration. There is a sense of like, man, what else do I need to do, right?
Yeah.
And uh, for my books and poem, right? Not that I care much about it, but just to, part of me I had to juggle myself, or give myself a slap on my own self. Hey, that is okay. Where what you get out of it is what you get out of it. But there are frustrations, and weaknesses that me
Yeah.
as Taran, sometimes, I might not express it on social media or in my own terms, but I don't think that they are just they're just a ripple in that journey, and you just have to keep walking where you need to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. Just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, yeah, because if you tie yourself, you can't go anywhere,
Yeah, exactly.
right? You're going to keep falling on your own self.
So if you were to then imagine your work 5 years from now, what impact or legacy would you like to have created?
Oh man, that's a tough one. And I think the only impact that I would love to create, if I could create it, that to bind the world, the physical, the natural world, the world that we live in, to have a better a relationship with it, right? That we, so if you think about it, how much there is no dating app to go out and date with nature,
Yeah.
but we spend all our life here. This is a relationship that we can't just forego.
Yeah.
Uh, that, and then also the relationship inside us, the experience of knowing your own self and enjoying that experience is something that if my poems can be can be a minuscule reflective mirror for an individual and
Yeah.
give them the pause they need in
Yeah.
the anxiousness of where we inhabit. That's the legacy, where that I will say I will take it with me when I'm done with when the earth is done with me. Let's put it that way.
No, and it's so important, right? Like you said, the pause and if and we so need it in this world, especially in this day and age with all the noise and digital noise. We're just inundated all the time. And so I think it's what your work is doing is helping people remember themselves and becoming grounded again and recentered on what's important, and not be distracted so much. So if that, like you said, the impact of if your poems can draw people back to their own truths, and authentic self, that's a beautiful thing. Mm.
Yeah. And it's the world we live in. We can there is so much polarization of what we think, right? And that thinking sometimes is not even our own thinking. That thinking is something that has been enforced us on through the mechanics of the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
And creativity frees us from that mechanics.
Yep.
You can see the world from a higher elevation where everything, all of these superficial bumps don't matter. They
Right.
are all right, and the world is much more grand, and they're much more beautiful than we see it.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, just a couple questions before we wrap up. Just a couple questions just to get to know you a little bit more. What is one thing that most people don't know about you that you wish they did?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's I think most people think I'm serious, but I actually have a great sense of humor. I'm working. I'm working on a piece where I'm hoping that I can get my sense of humor out. But even though I write from my depths, but I enjoy cracking a joke or having a little bit of fun. Yeah, that's something that you won't guess it with my with the seriousness that I show up for my job and other aspects like
Right?
like, yeah, and yeah, that's something. Yeah,
A good one. That's a good one. I was like, oh,
yeah,
Taran be a
yeah,
joker, a
yeah,
comedian over here.
yeah. I like to cook, but that's probably pretty much aware. Like it's out there, right? I like to cook, and I have you know, I have I have a garden, but I also like to cook in a way that I can have a relationship with. I think food brings. If I were to say what is the best way to get connection, food with the world we live in, there's a bounty that we have to consume every day.
Yeah.
Why not use it to build a relationship with the world we live in?
Yeah.
So I like to eat, and I also like to go out with lunches with people. If I have to beg people, hey, can you come lunch with me? Because I don't like to eat alone.
Yeah. I mean, that's connection, right? It's just
Yeah,
connection, and connection is so
yeah,
important for your soul.
yeah.
No, that's beautiful. Okay, so who is your favorite poet or writer? Do you have one? Living or
I
dead?
don't. Yeah, I read. The funny thing you say that I don't think when I read or write, I don't think I'm like a favorite person. I would read things from every genre, right? Like
Yeah.
I like to read stories. I try to read in multiple language. I try to read in my native language, Punjabi, English, of course, a little bit in Spanish if I can get hold of. Um, but I don't. When I go to a bookstore, I pick up books at random.
I like.
I pick out books at random and try to like, not that I'm going to pick up a manga book and try reading it, but my son loves manga. So, lately he said, okay, I want to buy a book of manga for him and his birthday is coming up. But I was going to that bookstore and I was like, okay, let me see which manga book he can read that is age appropriate for him. Right. And I was reading manga in a book. So, yeah, but I think the genre that I like to read a lot of nonfiction, even
Oh,
though I write a lot of poetry, but some of the from an inspiration perspective, I like to read books of that nature. And then uh, yeah, but I don't, like from a poet's perspective, like Emily Dickinson, I read, right, I have her collection. I find her word choices pretty, what I call surprising. She can use two words of different connotation and bring them together in a framework that I like a lot. Right.
yeah.
And then that's something that, inspires me when I look at writers is how do they bring words together to make a storyline or a punchline, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
That's
yeah, otherwise, any book, right, is good book for me. I like to read a lot.
yeah. I mean, getting just a well-rounded and just inspiration and ideas from like different genres and different authors, right? Just not it's not just one thing, right? It's just you have a library of different genres to pull from.
Yeah. And
Um,
more people that I don't think that I should read, I've started reading them. Right. Like if I don't align with their philosophy, I just want to read them a little bit and say, understand what is their
perspective.
point of perspective. And not that
Yeah.
it's going to change my perspective on the world that much, or it might, but I want to be open to ideas.
Yeah.
One thing I've realized is that if you say I am here and you don't move, you become a stone.
Yeah.
But if you're a piece of log and I'm here, but I can flow here and there with the current, you can see the world better.
Oh, that's beautiful. See, I love like every time I talk to you, you always have you should create a book of just like your sayings, like quotes from I really think it's like, it's so beautiful. You have all these just I call it quotes from you. Especially the last one, right? If you don't, then you're a stone, but if you're a log, you can move with the current and see the world. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, a lot of this is, hopefully one day I will, but I think a lot of it is not because of me, it's because of people that I'm talking with, right? It's a lot of it is the flow. Is what is flow? Flow is the energy of
Yeah.
people around you. People ask me what is flow. Flow is not the world that is moving around you. Flow is the people around you and the energy they bring to you. And
Yeah.
that's what flow is, and that's what you need to. That's why it matters who you know and
Yeah.
how you connect with them.
Yeah, so true. That is very true. And I mean, I was going to ask the last question to wrap this up, and maybe that was it. You answered it, but I know there's more wisdom from you. So, what do you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I think my have the curiosity to uh, live the world. I had a work call coming in between, but going back to your question, I think is curiosity is the one thing that I would say, use that as something to anchor yourself, and the self curiosity, not the curiosity that a chat GPT can answer, right?
Mm,
Because we want answers, and no amount of answers can satiate your curiosity,
right.
right? But the curiosity to know yourself and build that connection with the nature and your own self is, and everybody is unique in that journey. There is no one recipe. My recipe doesn't apply to you,
Right.
might not even apply to you at all. You can take some learnings from here and there, but
Yeah.
we have a unique footprint as human. What applies to Diana is unique to Diana, and
Yeah.
because I think the universe has given us that energy and the power to shape ourselves the way we want to shape ourselves.
Yeah. We are
Yeah,
the secret ingredient to our own recipe, right?
yeah, and 100%, and and the more we do it, the more in tune we are with ourselves, the less we are impacted by the vibrations of outside.
Yeah.
Right? The reason we are get impacted by other vibrations from outside is because we are out of tune with ourselves. A little bit of a volatility from outside can amplify us more than what the disturbance is from outside.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And that is the world we live in. And we can't change the world, but we can change our own frequency of tuning.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's beautiful. And that's a great reminder, especially like I said, in these days of protecting your energy.
Yeah, because that's the only thing you have.
That's the only thing you have. Oh my gosh. Taran, it has been an honor to be a host this time on your podcast to interview you.
It's our podcast. It's our podcast.
It's our
it's it has been blessed by so many journeys. So it is an our podcast. I am just a medium here.
I mean, this was fun. I got to know you more, and I'm sure the audience got to know you more. So thank you for this special episode. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us on the Conversation Trails of the Mountain in Us podcast. Each episode here is crafted with love, adventure, and reflection. We hope you have enjoyed this one, and we welcome your thoughts on it. And if you want to be on the show, feel free to reach out.